A lot of smaller Rolex ADs lost their Rolex concessions.
But I mean, according to the press release, everything's going to be just fine.
This strategy will not change.
And now maybe they're taking back control. I could see that as a step towards them trying to not only take part of the market back.
And if they say no, they just start pulling Rolex concessions from them too.
Oh boy, we've got some big news. It seems that, according to the press release, that Rolex bought Bucherer. How crazy is that? Today, I have my special guest and husband Kai with me because we're going to discuss the press release from Rolex and just talk about it because the internet is up in arms. The watch groups are going crazy about this, and I thought, why not sit down and have a chat about the important facts, the questions, and just see where it goes and what's going to happen. So at first we're going to talk about what actually happened. We also want to discuss how this is going to affect the ADs, the retail experience, us as end customers.
Waitlists.
The waitlist, we're going to chat about that as well. And ultimately what is going to happen in the future. This is going to be such an interesting question.
Is this the end of Rolex ADs?
Is it or is it not?
The first step to Rolex boutique only.
Oof. We'll see. But yeah, let's first of all, let's cover what has happened. So basically this, Mr. Bucherer, and you pronounce it Bucherer with a I know that's difficult. He's 87 and he does not have an heir, someone who is going to follow up in his footsteps to take over the business. So according to the Rolex press release, since they have been partnered up with Bucherer for like 90 plus years. I think they have been in partnership with Bucherer since
99 years, no? 1924?
Yeah.
I guess. I think that's it.
It's like, yeah. And since Herr Bucherer and Hans Wilsdorf were partners back in the day, they were like, you know what, we're just going to buy you. Basically, that's basically it. And Bucherer has about 100 locations in Germany.
I think they have
worldwide
100 locations, and I think they have 53 of them have Rolex concessions. So 53 of the 100 locations are Rolex ADs, in fact. Yes.
And I think a little bit less are Tudor ADs.
Yes,
I mean, Tudor is a part of Rolex.
Probably.
So yeah, they were bought, basically. Little side note, Rolex has added that until the, how do you call it, the competition department.
Kartellbehörde, yes, the competition department has agreed up on it.
It's going to be go through, but yeah, I mean,
we are coming to that soon. I think the Bucherer dude was like, listen, the hype is over. Bucherer will not be worth more during my lifetime because he's 87, and I think
that is old.
Yes, he's not the youngest anymore, and I think he's like, hey, it's not going to be better. Better sell off now at the max value.
I mean, yeah, if we look at this guy who is still alive for 87 years, his business has never been more profitable than the past couple of years.
Yeah.
Now it's on a slight decline, obviously. This is the best timing for this guy to be like, you know what? There is no one taking up after me that I want to like give it to. If Rolex, a lifelong partner, basically. I think it's the third generation of Bucherers.
I'm not sure about that.
I might be the third one if I did a little bit of a Wikipedia deep dive yesterday night. We're gonna, if Rolex wants to buy it, go ahead. I mean, they have money. They can buy it.
They can buy it, and Bucherer is in a good position now to sell. I think it was a good thing for Bucherer and for Rolex.
For both parties.
For both parties.
But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't, if Rolex would ever knock on the door and be like, hey, we want to buy Jenny L. I would like, go ahead.
1 billion.
Yes, and the Rainbow Daytona. Thank you so much. But according to the press release, Rolex said that they are convinced that this is, you have to imagine this in like the Rolex speech, but they basically said that they are convinced that this is going to be the best solution, not only for Rolex and Tudor as a brand, but also, of course, the partnered up brands that Bucherer is also selling. So it's going to be rainbow candyland for everyone because Rolex bought them and everyone's going to be happy. It's going to be perfect.
Sure.
And they are convinced this is going to be just fine, chef's kiss. But yeah, I'm wondering is what is going to happen with the rest of the brands now that they are being basically owned or sold by Rolex. And there's like a very interesting comment. I'm excited to hear what you think about it. But when Hodinky posted the press release, you can go into the comment section, check this out. Someone was saying, and I have to read it for you because I think it's hitting the nail on the head. How will other brands feel about retailing their watches through a Rolex-owned subsidiary? And I'm like, yeah, what is Omega or Patek going to think now?
So, Patek, you have to realize that from now on, or from as soon as the competition department agrees, which we will come to in a second.
Of course.
From now on, Omegas and Pateks and Jaeger-LeCoultres and Breitlings
At Bucherer
will be sold through Rolex.
Yeah, technically.
Does Rolex have any interest in selling Omegas and Pateks and Breitlings and Jaeger-LeCoultres?
But I mean, according to the press release, everything's going to be just fine.
Just fine.
But is it? I think that is such an interesting question. And feel free to drop your thoughts in the comments down below what you think this is going to be like. Because it is such an interesting question to be asking this, what this entails for other brands at Bucherer, because it is a mixed brand retailer.
It is a mixed brand retailer. Bucherer will keep their name. Rolex made that clear.
Yeah, they did.
And it sounds like what Rolex wants to say is, hey, we're kind of a still investor, a silent investor.
Silent one, yes.
Silent investor. But then again...
how silent can you be?
How silent has Rolex been as just a business partner with Rolex ADs?
That's a good point. That is such a good point. I mean, we've known examples here in Germany where Rolex ADs were... That's like the Rolex way.
That's the Rolex way.
They're not going to come directly at you and be like, you did something wrong, you're bad.
And you have to do that a different way. It's like... You remember that one time when a Rolex AD, we know, they had like jewelry.
That's a good one.
They had like jewelry in their Rolex windows. And this was before the hype. So for everyone that says, Rolex just has the power because of the hype. No, it was like 6 years ago, way before, or even longer. And they had jewelry, that Rolex AD had jewelry in their Rolex window.
I think it was their own jewelry, like they manufactured
their own jewelry, like, yes.
And they were just decorating the windows.
Just decorating the windows slightly.
Rolex window.
Yes, the Rolex window. And then there was a letter from Rolex saying, very politely, some kind of, please don't put other brands in the Rolex window. And they were like, okay, fine, no problem.
Yeah, we'll take it out.
But Rolex also didn't deliver them any Rolex watches for like 6 or 8 weeks. And you have to imagine, a Rolex AD gets like watches every 2 to 3 weeks.
It's such a silent threat.
This is such a power move.
It is.
And it shows how much Rolex, excuse the term, but they have the balls of the ADs pretty much in their hands, ready to squeeze them anytime.
that is a good metaphor. Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. They don't have to say much. They just do it.
It's like from Game of Thrones. The king doesn't need to say that they're the king. Rolex just behaves like the king. And they have the power.
I mean, it's not like we're saying this is a good thing. It's just something that happens with Rolex. And
it's just a thing.
Exactly. It is just a thing. So
did Rolex ADs ever have control over their own business? I mean, you remember the AD in Saarbrücken who lost their Rolex concession recently?
Oof. It's the one who then just had to quit, basically.
They lost their Rolex concession and they entlassen.
Fire?
They pretty much fired or did have to let go every single employee. That's pretty much a business collapsing because they lost their Rolex concession, and that's the way it goes. If a Rolex AD loses their concession. They lose, I would guess, 30 to 70% of their revenue.
That's incredible.
But maybe 80 or 90% of their profits.
I mean, yeah. Jesus, I can't imagine. But I mean, according to the press release still, they're going to... we have to come back to the press release because infos now are still very much limited. This
Yes.
is all we have. We've got a press release from Rolex, a very short one, I have to say, short and sweet and simple. And they also, it's just like a little paragraph. And they also state that Bucherer will keep its autonomy. It will keep its name. They will still be pronounced and called Bucherer.
Not Rolex, Bucherer.
Yes, they will remain a Bucherer. And yes, until what I teased in the beginning, with a little, I think this is the last sentence in the press release. They say that until the competition department thingy has fully agreed, this will go through. But I mean, come on. And I've seen these comments on Hodinky and on Facebook in the groups. You've seen them as well.
I got them as messages. Hey, let's wait what the competition department say. What will they say?
I mean, people. Do you really think Rolex was going to release something, a statement, just to be like 2 weeks later, oh, by the way, that didn't happen? So we did ask and they said no. So scratch that, scratch Bucherer, business as usual.
Forget everything that happened, dear internet. I think I imagine it's something like the competition department in Deutschland. In Germany, it's called the Wettbewerbsbehörde or the Kartellbehörde. Wettbewerb. I think, like in every official thing that's going on with governmental things, I think there's a very clear guideline you have to follow. And if you follow that guideline, then it will go through. And I think Rolex has like an own, of course, a justice or a Jura department. And I think they will have checked thoroughly that the thing they are going to do will not 99%ly, but 100%ly go through. And I think this is 100% going to come. And the department,
the legal department from Rolex is
it's just a formality.
Yeah.
It's just, yes, here's the stamp.
Basically, I also think that I agree. And I couldn't, I mean, I get that some people would question it, but like, I think that Rolex has enough money to pay some good lawyer money and be like, hey, can you check this? Is this going to go through?
Either that or we have a very good YouTube title.
Yes, or we're going to have another really great YouTube video coming on. But yeah, I mean, this is just, as you said, it's a formality at this
I think
point.
so. I don't know it. I think so, yeah.
But yeah, that will probably lead us to talk about what's going to happen to us as, not to us what's going to happen, but how is this going to play out for us as customers? What's going to change? Is anything's going to change? I mean, if we look at the situation right now.
What's the situation right now?
And we can only speak about our experience here in Germany, or like I say, Europe. We've been to some ADs. You've been to some ADs in Switzerland. We've been to some ADs in Italy. Germany as well, obviously. I've been to one, geographically, we can call this Europe, in England as well. But I have to say 99% of the time, if the AD does not know, I'm not saying like, oh, does not know who I am, I'm this big, no.
But some of them we work together and of course they know us and they won't treat us poorly, of course, because they know us.
If we have like a partnership or something like this, they're not going to be super, I hope not, rude and unfriendly. But so far, my experiences weren't that great, to be honest, which sucks. So it's not great right now. It has not been great for quite some time, thanks to the hype. Yes, that way.
I think you have to ask why is the Rolex buying experience so super poor? It's Rolex as a brand, and the buying experience is more like, I don't know, Pagani design.
It feels very much like like a bazaar.
And I think it's totally logical that the buying experience is as poor as it is. And quite just recently, last week, in fact, I was in Munich and I was visiting 2 Rolex ADs.
In Munich.
There were both parts of bigger chains, yeah. And the contrast between the first visit and the second could not have been greater. It was black and white.
Hi, a quick little break from the video because I want to announce it finally. After 2 long and very difficult years of development, we are finally now releasing our very new and very own watch roll collection. I have this one right here. They are your number one choice when it comes to watch storage. They're safe, they're secure, they're beautiful to look at, let me tell you. And yeah, they will be available for you guys from on this September. I will put a link up here and in the description box down below so you can subscribe to our newsletter, get notified as soon as we launch them. And let me tell you, when you subscribe, you will get a very special extra that is only for subscribers. So make sure to click on the link now, and then let's get back to the video.
The first one was the worst visit. I was visiting with 2 of my good friends. They are, in fact, with both of these chains, good customers. Even.
So they're clients already?
They're clients already. One of them is even a really good client. He spends like a lot of money there. He's very successful.
At this specific location?
Not at this location, but at the chain. So they must have his customer profile.
On record, okay.
Yes, and we walked outside and we were like, oh, are these the new Daytona models? Just from a glance, and we decided to go in and have a view at a few watches. And the greeting already was, the first impression that I had was, this lady does not want to serve us. She would rather make coffee break.
Which happens quite a lot.
Which happens quite a lot. You go into and you feel not welcomed. You feel like, could you please leave?
Yeah.
And then we started talking, and benefit for the doubt, always be friendly, always be polite. We were. She was not, to be honest.
Dang.
And it began with my colleague asking for a 2-tone GMT master and asking if he could be added on the wait list. And she was like, do you have a customer profile? And he was like, yes, I do. And she was pulling it up with his name and then scrolling through and say, you cannot be written down. I'm sorry, you're already listed for 2 sports models on the wait list, and you had to get rid of one of them to be added for another one. And he was like, I'm listed for a Platinum Daytona and a Platinum Day-Date, if I remember.
Yeah.
And she was like, yes. And he was like, but isn't a Platinum Day-Date a classic model? And she was like,
yeah,
no. At our store, it's a sports model.
It's
because it's
considered
so high in demand. And it was so funny because the colleague next to her, she was listening with one ear and giving annoying glances to our table.
She was probably like trying to signal her, like,
and
what are you doing?
at that point, she was like literally screaming 2 meters from us, no, it's not a sports model, it's a classical model.
Shoot.
And that was really embarrassing for every one of us. And that made the salesperson who served us even more uncomfortable. And instead of, I mean, it's totally fine to say, listen, I'm very new here. I don't know everything, so please apologize. And if we need anything specific, I will call a colleague to help us out.
Just remain respectful.
And she chose to, I think, protect her own status and be like very, very arrogant.
Rude, yeah.
Yes,
I mean,
rude.
we're not trying to shit on anyone.
No. It was just very, very poor, and she was in fact very, very unfriendly. And then we left for the next store.
Yeah.
And this was the thing is we pretty much asked 3 questions at both stores. The first question was, can we buy a watch now? The second question was, can we get waitlisted?
Why not?
Yes. And the third question was, how can it be that if, for example, full gold Rolex costs 39,000 euro in this store, and I can buy it on Chrono for 35, so 3 less or 4 less? How can it be that here's a wait list? And the first one answered all the questions very poorly, like it is how it is, and no, you can't buy, and we don't care about Chrono 24, Chrono 24 or Grey Market. We don't have anything to do with them. In fact, you do, but never mind. And at the second store, we had the same question. So first question we asked is, can we buy this watch now? And he was like, I'm super sorry, you can't. The situation has been a lot easier and better, and that's cool. He was transparent, he was authentic. The situation has got very easy, but we still have some requests from customers from 2020 and 2021, and what we do is we call them first because they came here first.
Fair enough.
And then we call you, but you can expect that these models have a pretty short wait time, I think weeks or months at max. Then we also ask this very, very critical question about how can it be that we can't buy it here now if we can buy it on Chrono 24 for 4,000 less? And the answer was like, this is what a good salesperson says. He was like, of course, we don't want to lose you as a customer.
That's a good point.
And we know the situation is a little bit frustrating for guys like you. But the thing is, he repeated the thing from before that they still have some requests from 2020. And he was like, but of course, if you can get it on other places faster, we are of course not mad with you if you do so, but of course we want to keep you as a customer, and I think the wait time will be pretty short.
That's very sweet.
Super professional.
True.
And fact is, a lot of AD employees are very, very poorly schooled.
Yeah, they're not well trained.
They're not well trained.
Which, unfortunately, do you think this is going to change? I think you've heard something from someone.
Yes.
Kai, you have to know about Kai. He's got his sources, which have proven to be quite reliable in the past, I would say. And you were talking to me about earlier today how you know that as of recently, Rolex employees are now more frequently invited to trainings.
Oh, yes.
And do you think this is going to, does this mean something that they're going to be trained more now? Is this just a reaction of what happened in the past, that Rolex is now trying to make up for it, that so many people had such a shit experience? Or is this something to do with the buying of Bucherer? I don't know.
I think yes, in fact.
Yeah?
I think this all hangs together pretty much.
It's connected.
Interestingly, from the poor buying decision, I know a guy who works in a higher position, and I asked him what this is for about. Information. We had a really strange visit, and he was like, "Yes, I know exactly who you're talking about." She was working at a clothing retail store until like a few weeks ago, which is fine.
Yes.
But pretty much she didn't know anything, and that's also fine for the beginning. And what I hear from other sources is that they are more frequently invited to Rolex sales school links or trainings. And I think also that's what Rolex knows, that the selling experience, the customer experience is poor. They know it, of course they know. And I think they cannot let that be as it is. And
just let it go and be like, it's going to...
Absolutely. And that's why they are starting to make more sales trainings for salespeople, for Rolex ADs. And I think also with Rolex buying Bucherer, this also means that they, of course, will test how to more closely work together with the ADs, more closely train them directly at Bucherer. And then I think what will happen is that will spread out to other ADs as well.
Do you think that in a long term, because there was a very interesting comment that I read online about how in the long term, when it comes to customer experience and everything and the training, that since Rolex has bought Bucherer, they will shift their model, like you said, to like a better trained personnel. And then you have basically what they were saying.
Fruitcake.
That the modern retail has no need for middlemen. That the classical like AD concept or model is now on the brink of being said goodbye to, and that we will have in the future more ADs that are directly run by Rolex. And then just like, which I think it's such a good comparison, they compared it to Tesla or Apple. We've got Apple stores. We buy cars directly from Tesla.
No middleman,
there's
no car dealerships.
It is an Apple store, and then that's where you buy the iPhone. You can still buy an iPhone someplace else, of course, still here in Germany.
In MediaMarkt, but no one does, to be honest.
It's not your first go-to. And I wonder if this is going to be what it's going to be like with Rolex and ADs. In the press release, they say it's going to, like, the relationships with other ADs are going to remain. That's what they said explicitly. That's like the own little paragraph. Is not going to change for now, I think. I think they did not put the "for now" at the end of the sentence, but I mean, in the long term, this could very well be something that they would have in mind, I think, because it makes so much sense for them to now, and it's also something I've read online quite a lot in the comments, how Rolex really needs to take control of their brand perception again, because it has been slipping.
It has been slipping.
Due to just the lack of professional salespeople.
Too much, too fast.
Too much, too fast.
It grew too fast.
They had to employ so many people because demand was growing. It was booming. The last couple of years were insane.
One of the IDs I know, they 5x their revenue or 6x their revenue,
That's
and of course,
incredible.
then you also need
to grow
3 to 4x the employees.
Yes, exactly. And then there's no time to train these people.
Absolutely.
And then you have the experience that you have. You encounter someone who has only been working there for 2 weeks, which is fine. Again, no one's born perfect.
People or mobbing people who are new. It's totally fine.
But that's just the way it is. And now maybe they're taking back control. I could see that as a step towards them trying to not only take part of the market back. I mean, it all started with the CPO as well. And
yes.
I think that was a very soft, testing the waters and seeing.
No coincidence that Bucherer, of course, was chosen for CPO.
I mean, yeah, they maybe.
What about CPO, to be honest? It kind of died.
Yeah, no one cares about CPO.
You
now.
want a Batman for 30 grand? No,
I was like, no thanks.
Bye.
But that was probably like testing the waters, seeing how they can like structure everything and laying the groundworks for now the takeover. Now, in retrospect, this was such a first step for them
Maybe
to do.
CPO was not that important in the first run.
Maybe it was just like a formality
to
be like, okay, we're testing the waters. Now, it shouldn't come as a surprise that we've bought them because we already have our little Rolex fingers. Rolex fingers in there. This is great.
Great. I think 2 important questions are, number 1, will the customer experience, will it be better in the future? And secondly, will wait lists and getting a Rolex be easier because of that step?
So I believe the waitlist game is such a tricky thing. And I mean, you are so well known about this and so knowledgeable, but waitlists they're not going to stop exist. I know it's such a stupid...
There are no waitlists, to be honest.
I was about to say it's such a stupid name for it or like a term for it, but Rolex will do their damnedest to keep the demand high. They will
of course
not be like, oh, you know what? Now that we have bought Bucherer, we'll
just flood the market with Rolexes.
We will flood the market with Bucherer with our watches, Rolexes. And then we're just going to be like throwing them out. We've got like a bag full of
Daytona.
GMTs and we're just going to like toss it into the crowd. And no, this is not going to happen. But I think they will be better at managing the experience throughout this wait for your new watch. And you're still going to have to wait.
You will have. I think wait lists are part of Rolex. In fact, I know that wait lists or interesting lists, or however you want to call them, they are part of Rolex's strategy. I mean, they produce these little things in the window that says for exhibition only. Why would they do that if this is not part of the strategy? And it's not even an artificial shortage. It's a real shortage because it's psychological. What they do is they act in like 3 steps or so. First step is the marketing, show everyone Rolex, like in Formula 1 and
tennis,
with all the celebrities and stuff, and all the Forschungs
science people.
So that brands Rolex and makes everyone want a Rolex. The second step is make the people go to the shop, show them the watches,
have a great experience,
raise desire, and then tell them that they cannot buy right now. Because what this does to desire, mere psychologically, is it raises desire.
Of course.
It's like if you give a baby a candy.
Yeah, give a kid something
and then
sweet.
Take it away. What will happen? The desire for the candy. Before it didn't even want the candy.
Yeah,
and now it does want it desperately. And the third step is when the threshold is overstepped and demand is so high, desire is so high that you would literally leave everything as it is if the call comes and run to your Rolex dealer and get
Which
it.
was
then,
the situation before.
then they will offer it. And that's like just a close to 100% conversion rate for selling watches. And this is the strategy, and this strategy will not change. What will change though, and what will make it a little bit easier to buy a Rolex, to be honest, because this all is just the strategy, what will change is that you as a customer in the long term will feel very much more comfortable at buying Rolexes because Rolex sellers or Rolex employees, Rolex AD employees, you have to say they're not employees from Rolex, they will be better trained, better schooled, and that's why you will have a better time at the Rolex AD long term. And that also means that you have easier access to Rolex watches because you don't storm out of the Rolex AD pissed and say, I'm never gonna visit that place again. You will just go through that customer journey, which I just described. And eventually, almost everyone is qualified to buy a Rolex. They just qualify you. Qualifying is like putting desire high and telling you you can't have it. And then if you really want it, then they will say, okay, there it is.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God, I'm here in 10 minutes. I will cancel all my business appointments.
I mean, yeah, it's not to say this is not saying that this is a good or bad thing. It's just the way it is. It's psychology.
I think it's a good thing, to be honest, because Rolex's job is to make these watches, to make us feel great if we get that watches.
Of course.
And if you can have it anytime, then you're not feeling special about getting a Rolex. So I think it's a good thing.
But can I also put in, because that's ultimately the question that we've also teased in the beginning with the experience and everything. We now talked about our experience as a customer, but what I thought was so interesting, and I would like to read this comment very quickly, because we also teased about the boutique situation. And there was this comment I found on Hodinkee, and it says, doubt Rolex will eliminate all ADs. They shield the brand equity from unscrupulous retailers, so the ADs do that. To see what can happen, look at the online discourse around AP boutiques. And really shortly, AP went boutique only.
Yes, they did 2021 and 2.
I don't know.
2 and 3, sorry. 2
so
and 3.
There's no AP available at your regular retailer. So they're just, if you want to buy an AP, you have to go to an AP boutique. And they only sell AP, nothing else. So that's the situation right now. And as this comment says, the online discourse and the offline discourse as well. We talk about it. AP boutiques don't do so well. As of the experience.
As of the customer experience, yes. It was like before they had like, let's say, a few hundred clients, which were their AP resellers. And now they have millions of clients.
Because it's
the AP
directly
and
us
customers.
Now.
And it was like from the 31st of December in 2021 to the 1st of January in 2022, they took over end customer business. And of course, this is a thing. It's very hard, I think, to overnight just do all the end customer business if you have no B2C experience. The servicing, the selling.
Basically the selling. And then the comment goes on to say, comments on new APs drip with resentment, as we said. So good cop, bad cop routine has protected the Rolex brand. Because Rolex could, up until now, say, sorry guys, we're not the retailers. If things are not working out, they never said that officially.
But you could set that as it's not Rolex, it's the AD.
Retailers, it's the
employee.
ADs. That's not valid anymore, is it?
With AP, no.
And then it goes further to say, when Rolex is the retailer, do they expect they will be able to eliminate all shenanigans and have every customer leave the boutique feeling valued and important? So, what in the future, if this is going to continue one way or the other, how is this going to affect the AD structure?
Is this the end of Rolex ADs? Will Rolex eventually go boutique only?
Shoot, that's the question.
That's a big question.
And people will talk about it now in the comments and online. And I would love to hear your take on this. And what is going to happen? Do you think, Kai, that going, if we just fast forward, I don't know, 5 years, 10 years, and there's going to be a statement saying they were pulling all their, they're pulling the licenses from the ADs and just remain with Bucherer. What do you think? Is this going to be a good thing or a bad thing?
First of all, yes.
Maybe let's talk about it this way. Do you think for you as a customer, what would you say is that going to look like? Do you think this is a good thing? And for the like, I don't want to say industry because it sounds so ominous, but they're like two sides. As a brand, is this good? And do you think it matters to the customer at the end, or is this going to be a win-win for everyone?
So first of all, I think what is not going to happen is that Rolex will go boutique only within a short time span. Rolex has been, for example, with their models, they've been slowly developing everything and very
They are Swiss after all.
They are very slow, and that's a good thing. Like Porsche with their 911, they changed just little things at one point, and this will continue. The question is, which direction is it going? And I love to just ask the opposite question.
Oh, which
will
is it?
Rolex give more concessions to more ADs? This is like the opposite question.
Probably not.
For sure, I think they won't. So if you can say they won't do that, that means it goes in the opposite direction. And this is also an info I got like 2022 from a high-tier Rolex AD employee who told me, hey, listen, Rolex will remain in the B2B business, so only selling to Rolex ADs, and they keep the B2C, the end customer business, but they will take licenses, Rolex concessions from a lot of small ADs and a lot of ADs in Germany. In fact, about a third, so 30%. And this is what we have seen happening within the last year already.
Here in Germany, right?
A lot of smaller Rolex ADs lost their Rolex concession. And this shows that I think what Rolex is doing is, of course, they are looking at their ADs for now.
I just bumped my watch again.
Again. They're looking at their ADs right now, and I think they're like, where is it going well? Where is it going not so well? And the small Rolex ADs, I mean, if they're small for a long time, they're small because business is not so good.
They remain
Otherwise,
small because
they would be bigger.
Right.
And this is why these ADs, I think, will, first of all, lose slowly their Rolex concessions. But Rolex doesn't want to sell less watches. So this means they have to give them, for example, 900 to 1,000 watches or 500.
So they're just going to like funnel the watches to someplace else.
Someplace else. And of course, whom will they choose? They will choose Rolex ADs that work well in Deutschland, in Germany. That's I know from an AD here in Stuttgart, Kutter. I think they get more Rolex watches right now because so it works well for them. Obviously, also Rüschenbeck, as I know, and of course now also Bucherer will get more Rolex watches, and small ADs will vanish with time.
With time, yeah.
And that means if we fast forward like 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, maybe the situation is like there is no single AD.
They will just die out.
They will just die out, and maybe instead of, for example, here in a small city like Reutlingen or something with like a few dozen thousand inhabitants, maybe there will be just a new Bucherer store. Just popping up instead of the old one, the small AD. And I think in the super long term, if you go that way, I don't think that Rolex will go boutique only in the close future, but I think the first step will be that they will give Bucherer more watches, and the other few, like Wempe and Rüschenbeck, the other few chains that run very well. And I think eventually maybe they will offer them a buyout too.
Could be. That's an interesting question. So yeah, we will. This is going to be very interesting to see what this is going to lead to. But yeah, I can see that might be.
Why should they open 100 or 50 new boutiques instead of just taking the infrastructure and employees from Wempe and Rüschenbeck that's already existing?
Right.
So I think slowly this is the process that will happen. They will just give more Rolexes out first to Rolex ADs that work very well.
Makes sense.
And eventually, I think they will go maybe to Wempe in a few years or to Rüschenberg and say them, hey, we would like to buy you. And if they say no, they just start pulling Rolex concessions from them too and give them to Bucherer and open new Bucher stores. Slowly but steadily. And will it be boutique only? No, but yes.
Damn it. Well, I mean, that leaves us now at the end of this video, which means that I would very much like to hear from you guys what you think if it's going to happen. It's interesting news. It's not like, oh my gosh, shocking. It's not like Moonswatch level, I would say. But it's so interesting to see what this is going to lead up to. So please leave your thoughts in the comments down below, what you think about all of this. Maybe share your experiences so far with Rolex and how you maybe wish they would improve. That would be interesting to see and hear as well. And if you have enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more watch-related content like this one, make sure to subscribe to my channel. And if you would like to also watch some German stuff, I highly, highly recommend the channel from this guy next to me, which is Kai Watchwise. I will put the link in the description box down below. And that is all I have, or we have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. This has been a long one and a new format. I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, I will then see you in my next one, and we will keep you guys updated if there's anything new to come. And until then, I will see you in my next video. Bye.
Bye.